Namo
Om
Ramana.
Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. I welcome you all for this New Year's Satsang on Saturday. We begin the Satsang with the chanting of the prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, followed by the chanting of Muktakatrayam by Sri Nandakumarji.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् शुक्लां वरदरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
एकम् अक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयम् लिख्यते कथम् हृदयगुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता वा पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तभावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः ओहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम् सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। नमो रमण।
Namo Ramana. We continue the Satsang with the chanting of a few verses from Upadesha Saram by Kumari Uma Shripati and Srimati Ashwini Balaji.
नमो रमण। कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलं कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडं कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणं फलमशाश्वतं गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितं देच्छया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकं कायवाग्मन कार्यमुत्तमं पूजनं जप चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगत ईशरी युक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृद्देव पूजनम् उत्तमस्तवादुच्चमन्तत चित्तजं जप ध्यानमुत्तमम् आज्यधारया स्रोतसासमं सरलचिन्तनं विरलतः परं वेदभावनात् सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाविदा पावनीमत भावशून्यसद्भावसुस्थिति भावना बलात् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधाश्च निश्चितम्। नमो रमण।
Namo Ramana. On this New Year day, Bhagavan has blessed us with the first few verses of the Upadesha Saram. In the first verse, gives us the Upadesha Saram of the Saram. The whole Upadesha Saram, the essence is present in the first verse where he says the divine is giving us the fruit for every action. So the action does not have any power. So when our actions does not have any power, what do we need to do? We need to remember that power which makes everything possible. And Bhagavan has blessed us with various ways of remembering him, and one being singing his glory through the Ramananjali songs. We present to you a few gems from the Ramananjali songs by Srimati V. Radha, followed by a song by Savitri Krishnan and Jai Shri Ram, followed by one more Ramananjali song by Kumari Revathi Shankar.
Namo Ramana. Today, being this Margadi month, I have selected to sing a Tiruvembavai in Ragam Neelambari, set to Mishra Chaputhalam. This is written by Sri Muruganar Swami and the music is by Srimati Sulochana Natarajan. கண்ணவானின்ற கணவருளான் காதலார் கண்ணவானின்ற கணவருளான் காதலார் எண்ணவா நின்ற இதயத்தான் என் தலை மேல் திண்ணமாயினியும் தீப்பிறவி சேராமே என் தலை மேல் திண்ணமாயினியும் தீப்பிறவி சேராமே வண்ணமா சூட்டிய வார்கடலான் வேங்கடன் வண்ணமா சூட்டிய வார்கடலான் வாரிதி சூழ் மன்னவாய் நின்ற பல மாண்பினான் மண் கடந்து விண்ணவாய் நின்ற விழுப்புகழான் வேங்கடவன் விண்ணவாய் நின்ற விழுப்புகழான் வேங்கடவன் பண்ணவாய் நின்ற புகழ் பாடி பணிப்படம் பாய்ந்து பண்ணவாய் நின்ற புகழ் பாடி பணித்தடம் பாய்ந்து அண்ணலார்க்கு அன்பாகி ஆடேலோர் எம்பாவாய் சாசனித பப மகமா கம பனிதனி பததப மகம சப மக சதப மக சசனி ப மக சமக பமனி பசா மகச சனிப மகச சனிப அண்ணலார்க்கு அன்பாகி ஆடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். நமோ ரமண.
ஞான குழந்தையடி நல்ல பாப்பானி ரமணா ரமணா என்று சொல்லு பாப்பா. ஞான குழந்தையடி நல்ல பாப்பானி ரமணா ரமணா என்று சொல்லு பாப்பா. ஆனந்தமாக ஜபித்து ஆடு பாப்பா சிவன் அவரே நம் தந்தையடி அன்பு பாப்பா. ஞான குழந்தையடி நல்ல பாப்பா நீ ரமணா ரமணா என்று சொல்லு பாப்பா. குற்றமில்லாத மனம் கொண்ட பாப்பா நீதான் குருவை கண்டு இவடைய மூடும் பாப்பா. மற்றவர் வயது மூதில் வெய்தி பாப்பாவே வாதம் புரிவாரடி வண்ண பாப்பா. ஞான குழந்தையடி நல்ல பாப்பா நீ ரமணா ரமணா என்று சொல்லு பாப்பா. யாரும் குருவில்லாமல் ஆத்ம ஞானியாய் தானே அவனுக்கெல்லாம் குருவாய் ஆனந்த் பாப்பா. சேரும் தொண்டர்களையும் தேர்ந்து தெளியும்படி திவ்ய திருஷ்டியருள் செய்வான் பாப்பா. ஞான குழந்தையடி நல்ல பாப்பா நீ ரமணா ரமணா என்று சொல்லு பாப்பா. மனதை அழிப்பதற்கு வாசிப்பதற்கோ பண்டை வாசனை மாய்ப்பதற்கு வாதம் எதற்கோ தனதெனக்கென்ற வம்பு சண்டை எதற்கோ இதை தள்ளிவிட்டு உயிரிவாய் சமர்த்தாக பாப்பா. ஞான குழந்தையடி நல்ல பாப்பா நீ ரமணா ரமணா என்று சொல்லு பாப்பா. ரமணா ரமணா என்று சொல்லு பாப்பா ரமணா ரமணா என்று சொல்லு பாப்பா. ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We are meditating on the Ramana Suprabhatam. Today we will see the 16th verse. Samyantihashamapadam kamaniya kirtim tvadarshanotsukataya vividhascha siddhaha vibhranti te khagamrigadi sharirevesham ananda chitramanabho tava suprabhatam. Samyantihashamapadam kamaniya kirtim tvadarshanotsukataya vividhascha siddhaha vibhranti te khagamrigadi sharirevesham ananda chitramanabho tava suprabhatam. Good morning, O Ramana, the supreme consciousness bliss. Many a siddha comes to this ashram of great fame with a longing to see you. They come disguised as animals and birds by taking these forms. Many devotees, siddhas at Ramanashramam, have come back as animal devotees. Bhagavan himself says, Madhava Swami, a devotee at ashram, has come as a peacock. He would call the peacock as Madhava. Cow Lakshmi is the avatara of Kirai Party. The blessed crow must have been a devotee earlier. Jackie, the way he used to sit was very obviously a sadhaka in his earlier birth. I present to you a song written by Ramanadas Sadananda, who sings about this wonderful scene which he sees at the Virupaksha cave. ಕಾಣಸಿಗದೊಂದು ದೃಶ್ಯವನ ವಿರೂಪಾಕ್ಷ ಗುಹೆಯಲಿ ಕಂಡೆ ಕಾಣಸಿಗದೊಂದು ದೃಶ್ಯವನ ವಿರೂಪಾಕ್ಷ ಗುಹೆಯಲಿ ಕಂಡೆ ಹಾವು ಗಿಣಿ ನವಿಲು ಚಿರತೆ ನಾಯ್ ವಾನರ ನರಸುರರೆಲ್ಲರ ನಾಥನ ಕಾಣಸಿಗದೊಂದು ದೃಶ್ಯವನ ವಿರೂಪಾಕ್ಷ ಗುಹೆಯಲಿ ಕಂಡೆ ಕಣ್ಗಳ ನೋಟದೆ ದಾಸ ಸದಾನಂದ ಆನಂದ ಸಾಗರದೆ ತೇಲಿದ ಕಣ್ಗಳ ನೋಟದೆ ದಾಸ ಸದಾನಂದ ಆನಂದ ಸಾಗರದೆ ತೇಲಿದ ಆಯೋಗಿಯೂ ಅಂತರಂಗವ ಬೆಳಗಿದ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕುಮಿಗಿಲಾಗಿ ತಾ ನಿಂದ ಕಾಣ ಸಿಗದೊಂದು ದೃಶ್ಯವನ ವಿರೂಪಾಕ್ಷ ಗುಹೆಯಲಿ ಕಂಡೆ ಕರುಣೆ ಕಡಲಾದ ಗುರು ರಮಣನ ಕಣ್ಣೋಟಕ್ಕೆ ಎಣೆ ಈ ಮೂಜಗದೆ ಈಹುದ ಕರುಣೆ ಕಡಲಾದ ಗುರು ರಮಣನ ಕಣ್ಣೋಟಕ್ಕೆ ಎಣೆ ಈ ಮೂಜಗದೆ ಇಹುದ ಅಜ್ಞಾನ ಸಾಗರದೆ ಮುಳುಗಿರುವ ಜೀವಗಳ ಮರಣ ಜನನ ಇರದಂತೆ ಕರುಣಿಸುವ ಕಾರಣ ಸಿಗದೊಂದು ದೃಶ್ಯವನ ವಿರೂಪಾಕ್ಷ ಗುಹೆಯಲಿ ಕಂಡೆ ಹಾವು ಗಿಣಿ ನವಿಲು ಚಿರತೆ ವಾನರ ನರಸುರರೆಲ್ಲರ ನಾಥನ ಕಾಣ ಸಿಗದೊಂದು ದೃಶ್ಯವನ ವಿರೂಪಾಕ್ಷ ಗುಹೆಯಲಿ ಕಂಡೆ. ನಮೋ ರಮಣ.
Namo Ramana. We move on to the next session where we have the reading from the book Forever in the Now, compiled by our founder president Shri A.R. Natarajan. The reading and the sharing will be done by Shri Nandakumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our Satsang, we have been reading from the book Forever is in the Now, the timeless message of Sri Ramana Maharshi. This is a compilation of articles edited and compiled by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We have been reading from the writings of an erudite scholar, a great Vedantin, and a psychologist, Professor S.K. Ramachandra Rao. We have read 2 articles on Bhagavan's teachings, the Jnana Marga which he has followed and the Bhakti Marga. The final article in this compilation is Significance of Bhagavan Ramana. Significance of Bhagavan Ramana by Professor S.K. Ramachandra Rao. We in this country have a custom of going on pilgrimages. The Kshetra and the Tirtha have a peculiar relevance to us, and we make periodic visits. Especially when there is a concern that is deep in our hearts, we make a pilgrimage. We visit a shrine in order to come back purified. The purpose that a kshetra fulfills is the eradication of some of the dirts and stains that the mind would have acquired during the rest of the time. Even so, the tirtha, the kshetra, has a negative import. It cleanses the individual, it rids the individual of stains that he has acquired. They also say that several tirthas and kshetras are conjointly existing in a saint. I'll read that again. They also say that several tirthas and kshetras are conjointly existing in a saint. A saint is a veritable kshetra of kshetras because he not only cleanses the sins, the dirts and the stains, but he enthuses the individual on the path of spiritual progress. He enthuses the individual to become a kshetra and tirtha himself. The saint, therefore, is the best among the kshetras. Kshetranam uttamam. The saint, therefore, is the best among the kshetras. Kshetranam uttamam. His teaching is the kshetra that is always present, everywhere present. The saint's teaching is the kshetra that is always present, everywhere present. We are today embarking on a pilgrimage into Ramanacentre, and we hope not only to get rid of the stains, but to have our path chalked out in a clearer way. This Ramanacentre is an enquiry into the significance of Ramana's teachings to us in our everyday life and with reference to the aspirations that we all have. A great mind must be able to nourish the essential things in life, and Bhagavan Ramana did this in his life. He did not encourage any other thought, and the attention was focused on the essence. He did not encourage any other discussion. He pointed out only to the essential fact of our life, the I in everyone. The discovery of its true import, the discovery of the true import of the I is phenomenal for the individual. Artha in this sense is substantiality, existence. So this should be nourished in the individual by Atma Vichara. Bhagavan Ramana did just this. This is the significance of Ramanacentre. Seeking the true nature of I, the true meaning of I, is Ramanacentre in the form of Atma Vicharam, says the author. It is only in sleep, Sushupti, that there are no thoughts. But in sleep, we don't know that we are sleeping. We are not aware of the I that sleeps. It is only when we wake up that we recall its blissfulness. It is, however, involuntary in character. We don't really retire to our home where the thoughts cease to exist altogether. So in sleep, the author says, we don't really retire to our home where the thoughts cease to exist altogether. The thoughts only exist at a lower level. The thoughts do not bloom into awareness, but they are there, ready to come up, so that the sleep could be disturbed, transformed into a dream state. The call for Mauna in the Upanishads and in Bhagavan's teachings is you actuate the Susupti state while you are awake. The call for Mauna in the Upanishads and in Bhagavan's teachings is you actuate the Sushupti state while you are awake. In Jagrat, if you are able to experience Sushupti, the I-ness is gone, the ego is gone. In Jagrat, if you are able to experience Sushupti, the I-ness is gone, the ego is gone. But you are not gone. You are there. But yourhood is gone. And this is all one could and need achieve in this life. I'll read that part again. The call for Mauna in the Upanishads and in Bhagavan's teachings is you actuate the Sushupti state while you are awake. In Jagrat, if you are able to experience Sushupti, the I-ness is gone, the ego is gone, but you are not gone. You are there, but your hood is gone, and this is all that one could and need achieve in this life. Of course, Bhagavan says, Tannai aridalindri pinnai edarigilen tannai arindidir pin ennai uladariya. Other than knowing the self, what is the use of knowing anything else? And if one knows oneself, what else is there left to be known? Bhagavan Ramana had a practical approach to problems, and he said, an individual wants to be happy And this is how all philosophies start. Sukham me bhuyat, dukkam na bhuyat. There is an inborn, untaught urge. Bhagavan says, you are moving away from your original intention. In your whole life, you are looking for something that you have lost during the day and locating it in the night. This is no way to gain your end at all. Gain that. Having got which, the stress would not be there. Having got it, an individual should be able to say that he would have nothing more to aspire for, nothing more to think of, and nothing more to bother about. This is not elsewhere. This is not outside you. This is deep inside you. This is hidden inside you. Because it is there, you want to be happy. If the source of the I is not there, if the root of the aham is not there, an individual would not want to be happy at all. It is the root of this aham, which is itself happiness. Therefore, the simple teaching is, you get to know what is the source of that I. Therefore, the simple teaching of Bhagavan, the tirtha that he wants us to have is, you get to know what is the source of that I. The mantra that he taught, the Mahavakya that he taught is a Mahavakya which is more relevant to us than Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvam Asi or Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, because they depend on certain Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, certain Samskaras, certain Adhikaras, whereas the Mahavakya taught by Bhagavan Ramana, which characterizes his doctrine of Mahayoga, is just this. You try to understand who you are. Nan-yar. Who am I? Is the Mahavakya he gave us. I'll read that part about the Mahavakya of Bhagavan. The mantra that he taught, the Mahavakya that he taught us, is a Mahavakya which is more relevant to us than Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi or Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, because they depend on certain Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, certain Samskaras, certain Adhikaras, whereas the Mahavakya taught by Bhagavan Ramana, which characterizes his doctrine of Mahayoga, is just this. You try to understand who you are. Nan-yar. Who am I? Is the Mahavakya he gave us. Can there be anything which is more pertinent, more valuable? This Nan must be the subject of inquiry, because we don't know who we are. We think we are this, we are that. We identify the I with the body, the world, and the objects outside. But that is not the I at all. And there is always the my and mine attached to the I. But that is not the I at all. And there is always the my and mine attached to that I. I is always characterized by an objective reference, the association with the object thought of, and the thought that thinks of the object. This is what we normally confuse for aham. But on close reflection, which does not require any erudition, which does not require any adhikara, it would be noticed that the I is more constant than the my and the mine, etc. The my and mine come and go. They are related to the objects outside. They are bound to time. They are bound with space. But that which is common to all of them, the I which focuses itself in various moods and modes, this I is something that is continuous, something that goes on, not only goes on throughout our waking life, throughout our dream life, but it goes on throughout our sleep life also. Because if there was a gap in this I, we would not go to sleep and get up the same persons. Bhagavan would say in the talks, the Johnson who went to sleep does not wake up as a Benson. He still wakes up as a Johnson because the I continues in the sleep also. I'll read that again. The my and mine come and go. they are related to the objects outside. The my and mine are bound to time. They are bound with space. But that which is common to all of them, the I which focuses itself in various moods and modes, this I is something that is continuous, something that goes on. Not only goes on throughout our waking life, throughout our dream life, but it goes on throughout our sleep life also. Because if there was a gap in this I, we would not go to sleep and get up as the same persons. There would be a break in the continuity of the individual. The I has continued to exist without the my and mine. So I should be the focus of our attention. This continuous I, which is the adhara for all the other my and mine, should be the focus of our attention, is the Mahavakya delineated by Bhagavan. In Atma Vichara, the mind must be turned inward. Instead of the mind's natural habit of turning outward, the mind is turned inward. And what do we get when the mind is turned inward? That which is beyond the mind. Manasa veditavyo. Without the mind, we have no instrument for Atma Vichara at all. We should learn to discern the Aham beyond the mind's ken, beyond the mind's reach. And this is a moment of enlightenment. This is indeed Sat Darshana, or vision of the truth. It is the result of Atma Vichara, or the search for this I, the enquiry, who am I? Bhagavan Ramana pointed to this as the shortest, safest, and the most reliable method. And because it is Mahajnana Parigrahita, it is possible for all people. It is within the capacity of all people. This yoga is rightly called the Mahayoga. The last paragraph once more. In Atma Vichara, the mind must be turned inward. Instead of the mind's natural habit of turning outward, the mind is turned inward. And what do we get when the mind is turned inward? That which is beyond the mind. Manasa veditavyo. Without the mind, we have no instrument for Atma Vichara at all. We should learn to discern the Aham beyond the mind's ken, beyond the mind's reach. And this, the moment of discernment of the Aham beyond the reach of the mind, this is a moment of enlightenment. This is indeed Sat Darshana, or vision of the truth. It is the result of Atma Vichara, or the search of this I, the enquiry, who am I? Bhagavan Ramana pointed to this as the shortest, safest, and most reliable method because it is Mahajnana Parigrahita. It is possible for all people. It is within the capacity of all people. This yoga is rightly called the Mahayoga. Instead of going to the next article, I would like to read how the author considers Bhagavan's teachings as the Tirtha, the pilgrimage which we want to make. I'll read the first paragraph of this article. We in this country have a custom of going on pilgrimages. The Kshetra and Tirtha have a peculiar relevance to us and we make periodic visits. Especially when there is a concern that is deep in our hearts, we make a pilgrimage. We visit a shrine in order that we come back purified. The purpose that a Kshetra fulfills is the eradication of some of the dirts and the stains that the mind would have acquired during the rest of the time. Even so, the Tirtha, the Kshetra, has a negative import. It cleanses the individual. It rids the individual of stains that he has acquired. They also say that several Tirthas and Kshetras are conjointly existing in a saint. A saint is a veritable Kshetra of Kshetras because he not only cleanses the sins, the dirts and the stains, but he enthuses the individual on the path of spiritual progress. The saint, therefore, is the best among the Kshetras. Kshetranam Uttamam. His is the best. His teaching, the saint's teaching, is the kshetra that is always present, everywhere present. We are today embarking on a pilgrimage into Ramana Tirtha, and we hope not only to get rid of the stains, but to have our path chalked out in a clearer way. This Ramana Tirtha is an enquiry into the significance of Ramana's teachings to us in our everyday life, with reference to the aspirations that we all have. A great mind must be able to nourish the essential things of life, and Bhagavan Ramana did this in his life. He did not encourage any other thought, and the attention was focused on the essence. He did not encourage any other discussion. He pointed out only to the essential fact of our life, the I in everyone. The discovery of the true import of the I is phenomenal for the individual. Artha in this sense is substantiality, existence. So this should be nourished in the individual by Atma Vichara. Bhagavan Ramana did just this. This is the significance of Ramana Tirtha. The significance is the practice of Atma Vicharam. This is the pilgrimage that is available always to all devotees by Bhagavan's grace. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. I request Sri Nandakumarji to conduct today's self-enquiry session 2 with the reading of Bhagwan's Upadesha and meditation on it in the beginning.
Namo Ramana. So we have an opportunity to visit the Ramakshetra, the Ramana Tirtha, in the practice of Atma Vicharam. We are reading from Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. We are reading from talk number 238. In answer to some question, the Maharishi said, there is a state where the words cease and silence prevails. Devotee, how to communicate thought to each other? If we are all silent, how to communicate thought to each other? Asks the devotee. Maharishi, that is only when there is the notion of two. So, the need to communicate like this that we are doing is required only when there is the notion of two. So, in a few seconds, with Bhagavan's grace, we will be going to that place where this notion of two is eliminated, and we will be in communion. The eternal communication of the Mauna, the I, is the communion of all beings. And there is no feeling of two, and there is no feeling that I am not communicating. So, the need to communicate is only when the communion with the self is not there. That is only when there is the notion of two. Devotee, how to get peace? Bhagavan, that is the natural state. The mind obstructs the innate peace. Our investigation is only in the mind. Investigate the mind, it will disappear. Manasam tu kim margane krite naiva manasam marga arjavat, says Bhagavan. If you investigate what is this mind, because mind is nothing but the I thought, says Bhagavan. When other thoughts arise, let it go and ask, who am I? We will find that, as was discussed earlier in the article written, that the aham goes to that place where mind cannot go. The I can go to that consciousness beyond the ken of the mind, beyond the ken of duality. That is the natural state. Peace is the natural state. The mind obstructs the innate peace. Our investigation is only in the mind. Investigate the mind, it will disappear. There is no entity by the name mind. Because of the emergence of thoughts, we surmise something from which they start. That we term as the mind. When we probe to see what it is, there is nothing like it. After it has vanished, peace will be found to remain eternal. After the mind has vanished in enquiry, the peace will be found to be eternal, says Bhagavan. Manasam tu kim margane krite naiva manasam marga arjavat. As soon as a thought arises, one should not pursue the thought with more thoughts. That is not enquiry into what is the nature of the mind. That is actually using the mind for some other purpose. So to inquire into the nature of the mind, what we have to do? Vrittayastvaham vrittimashrutaha vrittayo mano vidyaham manah aham ayam kuto bhavati iti chinvatah aipatatyaham nija vicharana. The mind is nothing but collection of thoughts, all rooted, dependent on the I thought. Therefore, I thought itself should be taken as the mind. Aham ayam kuto bhavati. From where does the I arise? When one searches like this, all other thoughts fall away, and the I thought also bows down its head in shame and goes away, thus revealing the source, the this Purana. Ahaminashabaji, aham taya, spurati hrit swayam, parama, purna sat, says Bhagavan. When the ego and its play is crossed, is seen as non-existent, this Purana, the Purna Vastu rises and shines. Arunachala Shiva, Soham Spurtitaya Arunachala Shiva, Purno Vibhati Swayam. As the Purna Vastu, Arunachala Shiva himself rises and answers as I. The continuous self which has no break, which is beyond the Triputi, which is beyond the three states of waking dream and deep sleep. That raises and answers the quest. The Mahayoga is complete in the Mahayogi Arunachala Shiva, accepting us and allowing the child to merge into the father. That is the completion of the Mahayoga. That is the completion of fruition of Bhagavan's teachings. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit in practice of Atma Vicharam for 10 minutes. You'll be able to set the time for us? Thank
Yes,
you.
I'll do that.
Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We continue the meditation on the self as the teacher, as the Adi Guru Dakshinamurti, through the sharing by Venkatesh Deshpandeji on the Dakshinamurti Stotra.
Oh. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunattu Sahaviram Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo, Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dakshinamurti Sarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Ramanacharya Paryantam. Vande Guru Parampara. Vande Guru Parampara. Vande Guru Parampara. We're doing Manana on the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Where we left the last satsang was in the verse number 1 after the shloka, dhyana shloka. What Bhagavan said was, upon enlightenment, prabodha samaya, you wake up. You come out of worldly life. Everything you experience is yourself only and nothing else. It is all consciousness, you. So I request Sapna to kindly chant the dhyana shloka as well as the verse.
Sure, sir. मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितः परब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानां वर्षिष्टान्ते वसदृषिगणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दमूर्तिं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. This is very nice. The previous verse refers to the entire world, which is Vishwam. This verse refers to this world, Idam Jagat. So the previous verse refers to the entire world, Vishwam. This verse refers to this world, Idam Jagat. This verse
metaphorically explains the creation as well as the cycles for creation and dissolution. Before the creation, this world was undifferentiated. But then, just as a sprout comes from inside the seed, this world has come forth. This is a typical thing that comes up as in all our sadhana to really understand what this world is about. And Bhagavan beautifully says, before the creation, this world was undifferentiated. But then, just as a sprout comes from inside the seed, this world has come forth. Ancient Rishi's vision of creation is not the same as the modern scientists. They knew that something existed before the Big Bang explosion that started universe. Scientists call it singularity. We probably don't have the right language or scientific concept to describe it. However, the world comes from something. It did not come from nothing. So it is more of a transformation rather than the creation. In the vision of Vedanta, the unmanifest becomes manifest. So this is a very important thing. It did not come from nothing. So it is more of a transformation rather than the creation. In the vision of Vedanta, the unmanifest becomes manifest. This is meant by creation. Here means logically, before the world manifested, it does not refer to the time. Time itself began with the manifestation of this world, this Big Bang. If you open a seed, you don't see the sprout. If you open a seed, you don't see the sprout. In fact, to your naked eyes, the seed seems undifferentiated. But from that undifferentiated seed, sprout comes forth, which manifests. The seed is the cause for the sprout. This metaphor very appropriately explains the creation. But from the undifferentiated seed, sprout comes forth, manifests. The seed is the cause for the sprout. Knowledge and material. The knowledge is called the nimitta karana and karan, and the material is called upadana and karan. Any active creation requires two basic qualities, basically the knowledge and the material. The seed is the material for the sprout. Interestingly, from the brown seed, light green sprout comes out. Similarly, a brown cow eats green grass and produces white milk. This is the miracle of the creation. I read this again. The seed is the material for the sprout. The brown seed, light green, from the brown seed, light green sprouts come out. Similarly, a brown cow eats green grass and produces white milk. This is the miracle of the creation. From this brown, featureless seed comes a green sprout. The seed contains the material for the sprout. Also, the seed must be intelligent enough to cause the creation. The intelligence of the seed is through genetics, through its DNA. This metaphor is used for this world, idam jagat. The world is compared to sprout. Just as the sprout comes forth from the seed, this universe sprouted forth from its creator, which is Ishvara. So the world is compared to sprout. Just as the sprout comes forth from the seed, this universe sprouted forth from its creator, which is Ishvara. Ishvara is both the material for this universe and the knowledge for the creation. This world is like a sprout which is within the seed. This world was at first featureless, but then we have cycles of manifest creation, srishti, and unmanifest pralaya. But then we have cycles of manifest creation, srishti, and unmanifest pralaya. Just as a sprout comes forth from the seed, eventually that sprout will go away, but will leave behind more seeds. There is a cycle once again. Similarly, this universe prior to this creation was unmanifest. Prior to that, manifest. Thus, there is cycle after cycle. How does the universe become manifest? The answer is in the second line of the second verse, which we will do manana on the next satsang. But the beautiful thing that Bhagavan is saying, Ishvara is both the material for this universe and the knowledge for the creation. This world is like a sprout which is within the seed. This world was at first featureless, but then we have cycles of manifest creation and unmanifest. Just as the sprout comes forth from the seed, eventually that sprout will go away, but will leave behind more seeds. There is cycle once again. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Thank you.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang by the sharing by Dr. Kalarani Rangaswamy from Madurai. She is sharing her insights regarding Devika Lotram Jnana Vichara Padalam, which has been translated to by Bhagavan Ramana in Tamil. Over to you, Kalaka.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. அருணாச்சலமென அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் Arunachala. Namo Ramana to all. With the abundance grace of Bhagavan, we are meditating on Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam, very graciously given to us by Ramana in Tamil. And the last satsang we saw, Vyoma Vadivagum Vyabhagamam Sunya Yaduruvan Bhavittidane. One who does not imagine himself to be Siddhakasha form, that Mahasunya, which is all pervasive, what happens? Avan yandum pishokasha kirimi pole prapanja pasa samsariyam par. Bhagavan says, he will be like a silkworm which builds its own net and get caught into that same net which was built by him. Likewise, he will also be caught in the samsara net and will not be able to come out of that worldly attachments. And the next stanza, Bhagavan gives a solution how to come out from this net. He says, because of not imagining as Mahasunya, Aruyar Yavarkum Menmel Mihat Klesam Purundum Kel. It creates more and more sorrow only because of the worldly attachments. I'll tell you something by which one can escape from this. Agila Kleshamum Ningudarku Mahasunyate Lesam Ara Chindai Yatru. Even sleep is sunyam only. But in sleep, Prapancha Drishya is sunya. We don't see the world in deep sleep. Likewise, in deep sleep, we also don't see ourselves also. We are not aware of us. We don't know whether we are a male or a female, whether we are rich or poor, person with knowledge or we are illiterate. We are unaware of anything and are in perfect darkness. But in Mahasunya, Prapancha Drishi is removed and self alone emerges, all others become Sunya. So, Sunyam means Swarupam itself. All Jivan aspire for Sukha only. But because of Prapancha Drishya, the worldly attachments, the world we see with discrimination, they get only dukkha. If this dukkha has to be disappeared permanently, one has to know the source, the place from where the dukkha emerges. Sukha dukkha, joy or sorrow, both, for them, the base is Masunyam only. The whole world emerges and disappears in Mahasunyam only. As long as Jiva is with Swarupa, merged in Swarupa, there will be no problem at all. It will also be Swarupa, that Atma itself. Only when it comes out of the Swarupa, it becomes a separate entity and suffers. Why there is no suffering when Jiva is with Atma? Because Atma is the Ananta Swarupi. And there is nothing other than Anandam. So, when Jiva merges with Atma and does not come out of it, there will be no separating as Jiva at all, and it will also enjoy Anandam only. In the next stanza, Bhagavan says, Jnana Udaya Puruttedan Narkriyai Satkriyai Navilapattadal. Scriptures say one must do good deeds and be with good habits and discipline. One must be doing good things and be a good man with good discipline. For what? To attain jnana. Good karma, kriya means doing Shiva puja inside and outside. Sat kriya means worshipping Shiva in the Saguna form in the temple with great discipline. Both are mentioned in scriptures for attaining jnana. But when one attains jnana, they both are to be removed, Bhagavan says, because they are all the signboards, the name boards, showing the way to get jnana. If one stays near the name board, he won't be reaching the destination at all. Once a great Krishna Bhakta came to Bhagavan and said, Bhagavan, before I came to Ramanashramam, Krishna used to give me darshan very often. Whenever I think of him, he will be in front of me. Nowadays, he is not coming. Can you please tell me why? He asked Bhagavan like this. Bhagavan answered him with a conversation. He asked that person, that Krishna Bhakta, how did you come to Tiruvannamalai? He said, by train. Where is the train now? It went off after I climbed down. From railway station, how did you reach Ramanashramam? Asked Bhagavan. He said, by bullock cart. Where is the cart now? He also went back after I gave him money. So, you needed the help of a train to reach Tiruvannamalai. After getting down, you just left the train, and for coming here, you wanted the help of a cart, and after reaching here, you were not bothered about them both. You just let them go. It is the same way when you reach Atma, when you realize the truth, that is your destination. After that, you don't need anything, even the darshan of Krishna. Likewise, in the next line, Bhagavan says, when sadhaka do japam with mantra dvani, without break, the Adidevata, the deity responsible for that particular mantra, will give darshan. Just holding tight of that devata, which he got because of that mantra sakti, like a supporting stick, that is called Salamba Yoga. After realizing the truth and attaining jnana, it becomes necessary that even that Salamba Yoga has to be removed. He need not have any supporting stick. He himself becomes that very supporting stick. Patrukkod. How? Because he is merged into the Swarupa and becomes himself as Nija Swarupa, which is the base for Antacharacharam, the whole Prapancham, the whole world, which is the source from where everything emerges, which is the supporting stick for everything. So, after getting jnana, he needs no supporting stick. He himself becomes that one. So, like that narkriyai, good karma, and satkriyai, that discipline, this Salamba Yoga should also be removed. But actually, because of very long abhyasa, the bhakta is very hesitant. The sadhaka is very hesitant to throw out these Salamba Yoga, Narkriya, Kriya, and Satkriya. He has taken lot of strain to attain them. He has taken lot of effort to come to this level. Moreover, he is so much attached to that practice because he was doing these kriyas with great involvement and great care, with very great discipline. Naturally, he was getting the fruits out of it without fail. So, he is not ready to lead that supporting stick, the mantra murti, because he wonders, if I do like that, what will happen to me? Then there will be nothing left out for me to do anything. There will be nothing to do. So I will be shunya. It is our nature. We have to do something or the other. We cannot remain quiet without doing anything. Only a master, a guru who has experienced the truth can guide the sadhaka to leave this Salamba Yoga without any hesitation and fear. After the yoga abhyasa vanishing, Guru guides him to stand in Nit Prapanjate Nilai, in that state. Only because he is out of Nijaswarupa and thinks himself as separated from Atma, he sees the world with discrimination. If he has Ananya Bhava, when he is with Atma, he becomes Siddhagasa Swarupa himself, and he can be in the world without any involvement or without any attachments. So, on this New Year day, I wish Bhagwan to make us all realize that great truth. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. In the next section, we have been meditating on the Ramanacentre written by Ganapati Muni, and which have been compiled in that format by Bhagwan Sri Ramana himself. We are on the 17th verse. Yat Purvam Shriti Paradarshi Dishano Dvaipayano Dhyaruha Paschad Bodhakala Vidutatimira Shankapah Shankaraha Tatsam Pratyakilavani Talajusham Acharya Simhasanam Devatvam Prativikshate Naratano Girvana Senapate Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha Bahuhinde Vedadamattundu Dadakanda Vyasarudelesidharu Nantara Jnana Kidiyinda Kattala Kaleda Shanka Haripa Shankararu Idīga Nunda Jagada Janaru Acharya Simhasanavanerelu Devaninnanu Nirikshisuti Haru Manujarupa Devasenapatiye ರಮಣನಿಗೆ ಲೋಕ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ, ರಮಣನಿಗೆ ಲೋಕ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ. Ganapati Muni is praying to Bhagavan, who is none other than the Girvana Senapati, the Deva Senapati, the commander-in-chief of the celestial army. And he is calling out to Bhagavan, the human form of Girvana Senapati, the world which is suffering, which does not have the right guidance. They are seeking a true guide. They are seeking one who can sit on the Acharya Simhasanam, a great, supreme place of wisdom where a guru can sit and he can guide the whole world. This Simhasanam, long time back, was adorned by Dvaipayana, Krishna Dvaipayana, who is Vyasa. And later it was adorned by Shankaracharya. And that seat is awaiting you, O Ramana, O Girvana Senapati in human form. Everybody, the world is waiting for you to come and sit on that Acharya Simhasana, is the prayer by Ganapati Muni. We saw that Ramana, who is the one who gives unasked. He gives the boons unasked. He is, when we think of ourselves, our own life, none of us have gone to the God and we have not prayed, oh God, please give us 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs, or give us the intelligence to understand, give us this or that. But the divine knows, Thai Gintalu Karuni. He is the one who is much more, far more compassionate than one's own mother who has given us the birth. Because he has understood that we need all these faculties even before we are born, even before we understand anything, even before we understand what is our purpose. The divine has a plan. And he has already blessed us with all the beautiful things that we require. And he has made us able. And he has brought us to his feet so that we can listen to his Upadesha and abide as his instructions. So Ramana has come to us. The prayers of Ganapati Muni was answered. And Ramana has come in the human form. In this Margali month, we celebrated the English date of Ramana Jayanti, which is 30th December. Ramana was born in 1879. And we also saw the similarity between that great teacher Vyasa and Ramana. The Vyasa was the son of Parashara Maharshi and Satyavati. And we also know that Ramana comes from the same lineage of Parashara Gotra, Varaparashara Gotra. And we also saw the similarity that Vyasa dictated the teachings to Ganapati, and the Ganapati wrote down in the form of Mahabharata. And this Mahabharata, in the heart of it, has the Upadesha of Sri Krishna, which is the Bhagavad Gita. And we saw the same similarity where the Ganapati Swarupa, Ganapati Muni, noted down the instructions given by the Vyasa Maharshi, who is Ramana, and who noted down and has given us the heart of the Upadesha that the Supreme has given us. This reminds me of that incident when Ganapati Muni had taken a vow after getting the first spoken Upadesha from Ramana, and after announcing to the whole world and all of his students that I have found my teacher. And this teacher is not an ordinary human being. He is the Supreme himself who has come in the human form. He is Bhagavan. He is dear to all. He is Ramana. He is the Rishi of the Rishis. He is the seer among the seers. So he is Maharshi. He is Bhagavan, Sri Ramana Maharshi. This Gosha was done. And then he had done a vow that he is going to write 1,000 verses on Uma, with the title Uma Sahasram. And he had started the work, and almost the work was complete, but 200 verses remained to be completed. But there was a problem with Ganapati Muni. There was some wound which had happened on his fingers, and he could not continue to write those leftover 200 verses. So he was worried. He was waiting for a long time, for a week or so, for the wound to get cured, but it was not happening. And the time, the date that he had told, that within that limited amount of time that he is going to finish those 1000 verses, and he is Kavya Kanta Ganapati Muni, he had Samskrita Kavya in his throat, yet he could not write and accomplish his vow, his promise that he had done to Apita Kuchamba, the Uma at Arunachala. And on one fine day, the last day when he had to submit these 1000 verses, he sat in the presence of Ramana, Ramana sitting on a higher platform, and Ganapati Muni in the next lower platform. Ganapati Muni was sitting with his 5 students in front of him, and he started dictating one line, each one in different meters, one line to each of his disciples, and each of his disciples started making note of these verses. And within no time, all these 200 verses which were left were complete. And Ganapati Muni turned towards Ramana, seeing him who was sitting in the higher platform, as if to say that, Bhagavan, I have finished the task which I had taken up. And as soon as this thought came to him, and he is turning towards Ramana, Ramana, who was in the meditative mode until then, opened his eyes and said to Nayana, Ganapati Muni, Nayana, have you written down all that I said? And as soon as this words came out of Ramana, Ganapati Muni was shaken, and he realized, yes, Bhagavan, I have noted down all the words as you have told to me. As told by you, all these verses are noted down. And then he saluted Ramana. One of the great devotees from Hyderabad, Narsimham Garu, who attained the lotus feet of Ramana, they chant these 200 verses of the Uma Sahasram every day. And he mentioned to me, saying that Ganapati Muni revised all the other verses. Sometimes it was lost, sometimes he had to remember it and rewrite it. And all the other 800 verses, there is some corrections or some additions which are done. But these last 200 verses, which were the verses which was written in the presence of Ramana, which Ramana himself wrote through the speech, through the Kavya of Ganapati, these were never changed. And there is a sweetness in those 200 verses, the last few verses of Uma Sahasram. We also know the story of Vyasa Maharshi, which I would like to share. Vyasa Maharshi, after segregating all the Vedas and after writing the Mahabharata, which is the essence of the four Vedas, and it is called the Panchama Veda, after writing that, he was in turmoil. He was still not in peace. He thought he had not communicated the truth properly to everyone in a way that everybody could understand and enjoy that ever available truth. So he was in this confusion, and he was very, very disturbed. When we are disturbed, when the confusion is there, Ramana says, then the grace is there. At that moment, in that point of confusion, the grace came in the form of Narada Maharshi. And Narada Maharshi told Vyasa, Vyasa, I understand your turmoil. Let me tell you my own story. In my previous birth, I was a son of a dasi. And my mother used to do seva in one ashram. And in that ashram, she used to clean the place, and she used to water, and she used to put the rangoli, and she used to pluck flowers and give it to the puja to be offered. So she was doing that work. And when I was just a small boy, there was the time of Chaturya Masa, the monsoon time, where all the sadhus, they all stay in one place, they don't move. So all the sadhus, they had come to that ashram, and they were all staying there in that ashram. And then the mother, who was a dasi but very, very cultured, so she used to keep that little child in the presence of those sadhus, and she used to go and do her work. And this little child, amidst the great sadhus, great enlightened teachers, and all these teachers are speaking Vedanta, and that little boy is not able to understand a word, but he is there in the presence, listening to what they are speaking. And these sadhus, one day when they are eating their, they've gone for begging, and the begging bowl, they have eaten their food, and the last morsel which was there, one sadhu calls this little boy and gives that last morsel to that little child. And as soon as that little child had that last morsel, there was a transformation. It could understand the conversation that was happening between the sadhus. It could understand the essence of that discussion and the upadesha that they were speaking. And soon after the Chaturya Masa was ended, all the sadhus had to leave, and this little child is holding on to the feet of the sadhus and telling, if you leave me and go away, who will guide me? Who will tell me which is the right path, and who will bless me with the enlightenment? And the sadhu says, everything will be good. You will understand it. And our blessings is there. They bless the child and they all leave. After the sadhus leave, within a few days, the mother also is bit by a snake, and she also expires. At that moment, the child does not cry. The child feels, yes, I have got the opportunity to go to the forest and do the sadhana, understand the instructions that I've got and practice it. So the child goes to the forest and meditates on the instructions given by the sadhus. And we know that in the next Janma, I was born as the son, the Manasaputra of Brahma himself, as Narada Maharshi. This is my story. And this tells us the glory of the Guru, the glory of the sadhus, whose instructions can transform one's life, whose satsanga can transform our lives. So you should write a book, you should write a Purana, which just speaks the glory of the divine, just speaks the glory of satsanga, just sings the glory. And how it should be sung, he gives us special instructions. Don't worry about the grammar, don't worry about the meter, don't worry about all these rules and regulation. Just write it in a way that it touches the heart. Okay, he gives a special example. Imagine there is one dancer. Long back, when the dancers used to dance, they also knew how to sing. They could sing and dance. And when a dancer who is trained in music, who is trained in dance, and who speaks also very, very sweetly like music, when she is performing on the stage and she gets the news that one of their dear one has demised, at that moment, how does she cry? Does she cry to the Shruti, or does she cry to the grammar or to the rules and regulation of the stage? At that moment, she cries from the heart. In that way, you should write a Purana. And that was the beginning of the Bhagavata Purana, which came from the heart of Vyasa Maharshi. And Ramana, who is none other than the same Guru Tattva, which is Vyasa Maharshi, he has also given us the path to get in touch with that heart, which is our own true nature. How can we get to that heart? How can this, the heart can manifest as music and dance and speech that is shown by the life of Ramana. And he gives us the Upadesha to get back to that heart, which is our own true nature, which is our true home. Ramana has given the path in the same way how Vyasa Maharshi has written the Bhagavata Purana from the heart. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We continue the Satsang with a meditation on the Namas from the Ramana Ashtottara, given to us by Vishwanatha Swami, by Dr. Sharda.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana. shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self manifest as Ramana, we are meditating on the 108 names of Bhagavan. We have been meditating on the Nama Mahashakti Nipatena Prabuddhaya Namaha. He who became awakened by the descent of that immense power, the Mahashakti, by the Nipata, by the immense of the Mahashakti, who became awakened, Prabuddha. And what is a Prabuddha? What happens to a Prabuddha? What is one who is awakened? He comes out of the cycle of time, out of the cycle of the past and the future, and thereby out of the cycle of the present as well. He comes into the infinite present or the real now. Today we are on a day of celebration of a new beginning, a new year. And just a few days before this new year, we celebrate the Ramana Jayanti. On the 30th of December, Bhagavan Ramana was born. A.R. Natarajan has described this birth of Bhagavan and the life of Bhagavan as the manifestation of the timeless in time. And we celebrate that. It is as if Bhagavan heralds every year. The birth of Bhagavan heralds the coming of the new year, the coming of the newness. And it is said of the self, Navo Navo Bhavati. It is the only thing that is ever new, just as much as it is Sanatana, as it is ancient. It is both ancient and ever new. And it is that awakening which happened to Bhagavan. We see that Vishwanatha Swami is talking about the divine grace descending, and it reminds us of the story of the Gangavatarana, the descent of the Ganga from the heavens to purify the earth. That great Shakti, she was so powerful, and she is Amrita, she is eternal, she is perennial in a physical sense, but she is eternal in the real sense, Ganga, and she makes one eternal. And it is that thirst for the eternal, to bring down the eternal, to bring down the experience of the eternal, that Bhagirath did his extraordinary penance. It is called the Bhagiratha Prayatna, that great effort, the greatest of efforts, which can bring down the Ganga from the heaven. And what happens when she descends? Bhagavan has said about awakening, about enlightenment, that it is like a huge elephant entering a small hut. It is a Mahashakti which is descending, and who needs to be the channel through which it comes? It has to be Shiva. Shiva has to be the one to channelize that power. And Shiva is the very Atma Tattva. He is that which is auspiciousness, and he is also the Adi Guru, Dakshinamurti. Therefore, it is the Guru who channelizes, who accepts this power which will otherwise destroy the individual, and allows the individual to assimilate this power. For Bhagavan, that ability to assimilate it came in a second, in a flash, as it were, because already the Guru Tattva had completely swallowed him. It had made its own presence sahaja by being with Bhagavan as the Arunachala Spurana right from the inception of that being called Ramana in the womb of the mother, Arunachala had been throbbing in his heart. The glory of Arunachala had filled his being. And later, Arunachala had also made the physical connect with him, the physical protection of his being by declaring to him, Arunachala is a place of earth. And then the introduction, the foretaste of that great Shakti had come in the form of the Periya Puranam, in the form of imbibing that bhakti. Just now Ujjwal Jagdish was talking about the beauty of bhakti. And Arunachala gave Bhagavan the flood tide of bhakti before pouring down the flood tide of Amrita. That great Ganga, that Mahashakti coming down on earth. That is what it is, Nipata, Shakti Nipata, the descent of power. In another sense, which is just for the joy of our own interpretation, Vishwanatha Swami has talked about the great power, the great grace descending on an individual. That is the process he is describing of enlightenment. But for our own joy, we also interpret it and looked at it as the power, the Adishaya Shakti of the mind descending into the heart. Because Bhagavan describes the mind as a great power. In Ashtakam, he says, Uladunil Aladila Adishaya Shakti. He calls the mind a wondrous power, a wondrous power. And we really do not know the dimensions of this power, the great power called the mind. What we know of the mind is not even a minuscule part of it, not even an atom. To the extent of an atom do we know about the power of the mind. And actually that power is Mahashakti herself. It is the Divine Mother herself. She is the power of Shiva. She is the power of Shiva. She is the one who descends. She is the one who descends into the heart. And that power has to come down. It has to surrender. The Mahashakti Nipata has to happen. In the translation, Sanskrit translation of Ulladinarpadu, Pateda Hanta Paribhugna Shisha, says Ganapati Muni. Pated, it falls. The Ahankara falls. The Ahankara, when it is as an ego, it becomes an obstruction. When it becomes the pure mind, the Mahashakti, even then it has to get back into the heart. Bhagavan has said, talking about the Raja Yoga, that even if the Sahasrara is awakened as the final chakra, then the energy has to return to the heart source and abide there. That is why the heart is called the final resting place, says Bhagavan. So the Mahashakti has to fall down. It has to return to its source. Ganga has to become Uttaravahini. She has to turn back to the source. Mahashakti Nipatena Prabuddhaya Namaha. And that is what Bhagavan is asking us to do every moment. He is asking us to turn that supreme, that very high, extraordinary power. In fact, the supreme power, when it is pure, back to its source, to surrender it through enquiry. By surrendering every small manifestation of that power in the form of thought. Whenever a thought arises, we must recognize that this is a manifestation of that Mahashakti. It is not in itself, it is merely Jada, but as a manifestation of the Supreme Self, it is pure and immense, and it is to be dropped. Dr. Kalarani was saying today that when one gets a support, a beautiful support like a mantra sadhana, when one recognizes that there is this huge power, even though one recognizes that it's the power of the Lord, and only the power of the Lord, nothing apart from it, even then the need to surrender it is there. Even if one is detached from thoughts, even if one is able to see all the thoughts and not be attached to any one of them, and thereby see all of them as equal, all of them as a pure manifestation of the light of consciousness, one must surrender this also. This watching, this detachment also must be surrendered. Every great power that is bestowed on us, the whole power of knowing, the whole power of learning, has to fall back into the self. All learning must be surrendered. All possessions must be surrendered, but all experience, all learning must also be surrendered. Bhagavan says one must unlearn. So that Mahashakti, all the Mahashaktis, all the great Siddhis that come to us or may come to us when one abides in the self, have to fall back into the self. And Bhagavan says, Shapadunnai Sharndunava Yan Shantamai Povan. Total silence. Everything will be swallowed by the self. Then that great power, it merges into, that Shakti will merge into the Shanti, which is Shiva. That peace, absolute peace, the Chit Shakti will merge into the Sat Shanti, that pure peace, which is Achala, which is Arunachala, and that is the merger of the power of Meenakshi and the power of Arunachala Shiva. And once this awakening happens, Bhagavan becomes Paramarthavit. He comes to know the supreme knowledge. The supreme knowledge. He is one who has attained the supreme knowledge. He becomes a sage of steady wisdom. This entire Leela of his is in order to reveal to us the glory of that state of the Paramartha Vidya, to remain established in it and to reveal its glory to one and all at all times. That is the purpose, he says, of Arunachala bringing him on earth. Ammayum appanumai, to bring him on earth. Puvikut pongidum puvichar pongavan. Purikut punniyan shurikut sundaram tavakut tandanan. You gave me to the sati of Sundara because of the penance of Sundara. For what purpose? Sharikat tanmayam, shivakat chinmayam. Shivakat chinmayam, sharikat tanmayam. For the Chit Shakti to flourish, for the existence, the power, the beauty, the glory of the Sat to draw to itself one and all in a very evident manner. For everyone to become aware of the beauty of this. O Arunachala, you gave me your own state, the power of Arunachala, the Shakti of Arunachala was manifest in Ramana at Madurai on the 17th of July, 1896. becoming the turning point, becoming the point which renewed the whole world, renewed life for every living being, renewed the possibility of that Paramartha Vidya for every living being. Such is the glory, such is the celebration of Bhagavan's enlightenment, and we are blessed to meditate on it today in the beginning of the year with a prayer that he fulfills the purpose for which Arunachala has made him manifest on earth. The purpose, as Sadhu Om Swami says, எதை கற்றுத்தர குரு உரு எடுத்து வந்தீரோ அதை கற்றுக் கொடுங்கள் அப்பா. In order to teach which knowledge, that Paramartha Vidya, you have taken the form of a guru and come on earth, please do teach me that knowledge. Please do reveal to each one of us that supreme Vidya, the Paramartha Vidya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We conclude the satsang with the chanting of a few verses from Arunachala Akshaunamalai by Srimati V. Radha and Vallabh. This will be followed by Ashtottar Puja at the Ramana Maharshi Heritage Center, and the chanting of the Ashtottara will be done by Vaibhav Ji and Prarthana, followed by Uma and Ashwini. That will be followed by an Aarti song by Kumari Revathi.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. பொடியாமயக்கியன் போதத்தை பழித்து உன் போதத்தை காட்டினை அருணாச்சலா. போக்கும் வரவுமில் பொது வெளியில் அருள் போராட்டம் காட்டருணாச்சலாம். பௌதிக மாமுடல் பற்று அற்ற நாளும் உன் பவிசு கண்டுர அருள் அருணாச்சலா. மலை மருந்திட நீ மலை திடவோ அருள் மலை மருந்தாயொழில் அருணாச்சலா. மானம் கொண்டுருபவர் மானத்தை அழித்த அபிமானம் இல்லாதொழில் அருணாச்சலா. விஞ்சிடில் கெஞ்சிடும் கொஞ்சவரிவனியான் வஞ்சியாதருள் என்னை அருணாச்சலா. நீகாமன் இல்லாமல் மாகாற்றலை கலமாகாமற் காத்தருள் அருணாச்சலா. முடியடிக்காடா முடிவிடுத்தனை நேர் முடிவிட கடனிலை அருணாச்சலாம். மூங்கிலன் முங்காட்டு முகுரமகாதனை தூக்கி அடைந்தருள் அருணாச்சலாம். மெய்யகத்தின் மனமென் மலரணையில் நம்மை கலந்திட அருள் அருணாச்சலா. மேன்மேல் தாழ்ந்திட மெல்லிய சேர்ந்து நீ மேன்மையுற்றன என் அருணாச்சலா. மைமய நீ தருள் மையினால் உனது உண்மை வசமாக்கினை அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ 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 அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி. அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி.
नमो रमण। भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। ॐ महासेन महोंशेन जाताय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः। ॐ गुरवे नमः। ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः। ॐ महौजसे नमः। ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः। ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः। ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः। ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः। ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः। ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः। ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः। ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः। ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः। ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः। ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः। ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः। ॐ तीव्राय नमः। ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः। ॐ इन्दुमौळिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ फुल्लम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजितचलकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः। ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्री शोणाचल हृद्भूत स्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्द परिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेश मुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेश सारादि ग्रन्थ संचिन्न संशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रम मतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादग संहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौलेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ मृच्छान्तिकर सानिध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणात् बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रह सुप्रवाह विवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्व गभीर नित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡವೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ಕಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವನುಡಿದು ಕೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि जय
Namo Ramana, Udval, Namo Ramana, Shrikant ji, Happy New Year. Namo Ramana, Vaibhav ji, and Pratama, Happy New Year.
Namo Ramana, Happy New Year.